in a manner such that you can keep the objective to minimizing mass. Material indices we have seen can be derived for various loading situations and geometries to be able to estimate costs as well. So, for instance, depending upon whether it's a stiffness limited design or a strength limited design, and when the loading is in tension, you have a material index of E by rho, and you have a material index of sigma by rho for the strength limited design. For bending, the first term for a stiffness limited design becomes e to the power half divided by rho. And again, for the stiffness limited design for a panel in bending, you take the cube root of E. That is, the material becomes less important in for a panel bending compared to tension. The gains are going to be a lot lesser. Instead of the objective function of minimizing mass, you could minimize cost as well. And the way the material index then changes for minimizing cost as the objective, for a stiffness limited design, the denominator gets modified by the introduction of cost unit, right? Cost per unit mass. Let's try to explore this term, particularly for estimating a material index to minimize cost for this situation over here. In this particular case, we will look at a couple of different options. One is a beam, and then the other is an I-beam. Do you know what a floor joist is? So these are the beams that are placed in between the walls to support the overall floor. And as a structural material, these beams tend to be either wood or steel as common options. Now you would imagine that these two are relatively competitive, and that's why you can use these two materials. As it turns out, not all types of woods are available in different regions of the world, but steel, on the other hand, gets shipped around more easily. Wood is subjected to vagaries of time, climate, any environmental changes such as bug infestation, and so on, termites. Steel is more stable over time in comparison. Having looked at these types of consideration, look at the differences in density when you go from wood to steel. The modulus is also quite different. Costs are relatively comparable. The shape efficiency factors are much higher for steel. So how do you make decisions on minimizing cost for a stiffness limited design? So if you didn't have to take into account the shape changes, your material index is a square root of E divided by cm times rho. I've modified these units compared to the textbook, and if you took the shape efficiency factor into account, then under the square root sign you have to take into account the shape efficiency factor. So can you calculate these two material indices, one that is not shape restricted and the other one that depends upon the shape, for these two materials and two geometries? Right. So in the first case, you have the material index as being close to 6. Now you have to pay attention to what are the units of this material index, because even though the shape efficiency factor is dimensionless, there are units associated with this overall composite term over here. Right? For numbers that are represented in this manner, you will get the material index to have a value of 6, roughly. For the steel I-beam, when you of the same shape, not as this wooden beam, so more like a rectangle, you would have 2.8 as this material index, which is lower than 6, and so you would say it's preferable to make the structure for that particular stiffness limited design by wood as opposed to the steel. But now if you take into account the fact that you can make steel of a lot more efficient shapes compared to wood, you have the scenario renewed where you want to minimize the cost. With the steel I-beam at a shape factor of about 25, you can get a more cost-effective design using the I-beam made of steel. This is the learning from these kinds of considerations. So to recap, we've seen that material efficiency can be improved by going to different types of shapes, and certain shapes are better suited for certain loading conditions compared to others. And by efficiency, we mean how to use the least amount of material for a given stiffness or strength value dictated in a design. And just like you can minimize mass, you can also minimize cost. In this design exercise, we have noticed that shapes depend upon the material and shape efficiency factors are dependent upon the material. In module 4, we will also see that process limits the extent to which shapes can be created as well, and costs will be affected by manufacturing costs. So we'll build off from this cost related consideration in the next module. So the two most commonly used situations that we looked at was within bending, we looked at either a stiffness limited design or a strength limited design and came towards these top two uh, options. What happens when you consider torsion or compression instead? What changes? It turns out that if you were to take into account the shape indices, you had to look at a new value for the shape efficiency factor, because the ability of the shape to improve performance, create a more efficient structure, depends upon the loading situation as well. And so the values of phi B and phi T are quite different, just like phi E and phi F were different. We saw a little bit of that in some of the values that were shown in problem 5.2. Let's continue to look at its differences for torsion by deriving an equation. In a similar manner, you can make derivations like we had for the bending related situation for a tie rod or for a compressive strut.